Plankton is talking about his lifelong dream of world domination. After 25 years of failed attempts, he believes his latest plan, Operation Success, will finally work. His goal is to steal the Krabby Patty secret formula, take over the Krusty Krab, and eventually rule the world. But when he looks for Karen to help him, he finds out she's out with her friends and seems uninterested. Karen, however, has a secret plan of her own. She turns down an invitation from her friends, explaining that after Plankton inevitably fails again, she has a world domination strategy that will impress him. At the Krusty Krab, Mr. Krabs and SpongeBob are secretly spying on Plankton. They've tricked him into thinking the restaurant is unguarded so they can catch him in the act. Plankton puts his plan in motion, with Karen helping him by acting as an elevator. But before he can get anywhere, Mr. Krabs catches him and kicks him out. Back at the Chum bucket, Plankton is shocked to see that Karen has completely redesigned the restaurant. It's now a modern, high-tech, automated eatery that serves upgraded chum. Food, she claims, is so good it tastes like world domination. Karen argues that if people actually enjoyed eating there, Plankton wouldn't need to steal the Krabby Patty formula. But Plankton is unimpressed. They start arguing, with Karen pointing out that Plankton's schemes have been failing for 25 years and that maybe he should try something new. Plankton refuses, saying he doesn't need a partner, just an assistant who listens to him. Hurt by his words, Karen warns him that if he won't give her ideas a chance, she'll take matters into her own hands. Plankton refuses to listen, goes on a rampage, and destroys the new chum bucket. He even burns it down, sending all the customers running. Later, SpongeBob overhears Plankton and Karen fighting. Things reach a breaking point when Karen unleashes a hidden power, turning the chum bucket into a giant magnet and transforming herself into a massive three-headed robotic entity. Super snarky Karen, super smart Karen, and super evil Karen. The Karens start their attack by magnetizing the Krusty Krab and putting it into their empire. Chaos breaks out in Bikini Bottom as news spreads that a giant magnet is sucking up everything metal. The military tries to stop Karen but is easily defeated. Meanwhile, SpongeBob tells Plankton to think about what made Karen so angry. Using a psychiatrist kit, he helps Plankton reflect on his past. Under hypnosis, Plankton remembers his college years when he and Karen first became close. She originally started as a simple calculator powered by a potato, but since Plankton was lonely, he upgraded her with chips to make her smarter, more evil, sarcastic, and empathetic. They worked together on inventions and school projects, forming a strong partnership. Despite these memories, Plankton is still focused on stopping Karen. He realizes her original parts might still be in his old college dorm. Determined to find them, he and SpongeBob head to Bikini State University, hoping to stop Karen before she takes over Bikini Bottom. Plankton and SpongeBob arrive at Plankton's old college storage closet, where he finds his old textbooks and even his former roommate still frozen. But most importantly, he discovers Karen's original parts, though the potato that once powered her has long since rotted, just like their relationship. This gives Plankton an idea. To stop Karen's rampage, he needs to get into the basement. Before they can act, however, Karen magnetizes the entire university, forcing them to flee. They end up in Plankton's basement, filled with his past inventions, all failed attempts to steal the Krabby Patty formula. While SpongeBob sees it as a basement of failures, Plankton refuses to see it that way and begins gathering parts for his next creation. As they work, SpongeBob asks about Plankton and Karen's past. Plankton recalls how they were once an unstoppable duo, working together on evil inventions. One of their biggest projects was a giant freeze ray, which they planned to use to invade the surface world. However, once they reached land, they realized how massive surface creatures were, so big that kids nearly stepped on their invention. Feeling like a complete failure, Plankton lost confidence, but Karen encouraged him to eat something to clear his mind. That's when they stumbled upon the Krusty Krab, where Plankton tasted a Krabby Patty for the first time. Inspired, he came up with what he thought was his greatest idea ever: steal the secret formula, take over the restaurant, then the town, then the world. Karen laughed at first, but agreed to the plan, never expecting it would consume their lives for the next 25 years. SpongeBob realizes that Plankton's obsession with the formula is what drove Karen to madness. But Plankton isn't interested in learning a lesson. He uses the knowledge he gained from SpongeBob's therapy session to find Karen's old parts and build a new, upgraded Karen designed to destroy the original and claim the secret formula. As Plankton introduces new Karen to old Karen, he expects an epic battle. Instead, the two Karens merge, realizing they are part of the same being. Now, even more powerful, they laugh at Plankton before turning on him. He and SpongeBob flee, only to find that Bikini Bottom has been completely destroyed. SpongeBob, heartbroken, confronts Plankton, calling him out for his lies and selfishness. He tells Plankton that he's nothing more than a pathetic jerk, just as Mr. Krabs always said. Before the Karens can destroy him, SpongeBob swoops in and saves him. Instead of killing Plankton, Karen decides to let him live with his failures, as that will be a worse punishment. Now that their battle station is complete, the Karens prepare to take over the world. SpongeBob, despite everything, refuses to leave Plankton behind. He takes him to an underground hideout where Mrs. Puff and her friends, Karen's old gal pals, demand answers. They blame Plankton for Karen's transformation, believing he never truly loved her. To prove them wrong, Plankton recalls how he once proposed to Karen, giving her an upgrade as an engagement gift. However, Karen's friends aren't convinced. They reveal that Karen had been complaining about Plankton for years. Pressed for more answers, Plankton admits that in the heat of their fight, Karen removed her empathy chip, making her incapable of caring about anyone. Shocked, Karen's friends tell Plankton that fixing her isn't just about putting the chip back, he needs to apologize. When asked if he can do that, Plankton struggles, unable to say the words. Seeing no hope for him, the group decides to force him through an intense psychedelic experience. In this vision, Plankton relives his entire relationship with Karen, realizing just how much she meant to him. Overcome with emotion, he finally shouts, I love you. Snapping back to reality, Plankton declares that he needs to find Karen, beg for her forgiveness, and win her back. But rushing in alone would be suicide. Karen would exterminate him on sight. Mrs. Puff and the others agree to help, knowing they need to reach Karen before she breaches the surface. The mission to save Karen and the world begins. Sandy and her friends spot Mega Karen and realize their mission is going to be harder than expected. They all work together to sneak inside Mega Karen's massive battle station. Sandy urges SpongeBob to get Plankton to Karen so he can apologize before they reach the surface. The gal pals engage in battle and manage to destroy the fake Karens. SpongeBob and Plankton finally reach the engine room, where Plankton finds his Karen. He dramatically apologizes, confessing his love and asking for a fresh start. Karen, however, is skeptical, thinking his emotions are just a result of the empathy chip Sandy installed. Plankton insists that the chip burned out earlier due to emotional overload and that his feelings are real. Karen, still doubtful, tells him he should just take the Krabby Patty secret formula and leave. But instead of taking the formula, Plankton realizes something. He doesn't need it. The real treasure in his life isn't the formula. It's Karen. He destroys the bottle, proving that she is more important to him than world domination. Moved by his words, Karen finally believes him and they reconcile with a kiss. She reveals that she always hoped he'd come around, so she built him a throne. Now she suggests they finally pursue their dream from college, taking over the world together. As they rise to the surface, they arrive at the beach, scaring the people there. Plankton enjoys the chaos, and Karen encourages him to press the destruction button first as a reward. However, they decide to push it together, only to realize the machine isn't working. Karen is confused. Her station was foolproof, but Plankton points out that it wasn't SpongeBob proof. It turns out SpongeBob and Patrick had removed all the potatoes, shutting down the entire system. Plankton, feeling guilty, apologizes for ruining their plan, but Karen reassures him that he is still her jerk, and they embrace. When the battle station disabled, it falls apart, and the beachgoers are no longer afraid. Back in Bikini Bottom, SpongeBob celebrates their return with a song, and the town is restored to normal. The Krusty Krab is open again, and everything is back to the way it was. However, the Bikini Bottom citizens are still angry at Plankton and Karen, ready to take revenge. Before they can attack, SpongeBob steps in, saying he isn't mad, he just loves a good love story. The town bursts into song and dance, and with that, the movie comes to a happy ending.